This conference will now be recorded.
Hi, everyone. This is David Chait with Travefy, and thank you so much for taking time out of your busy evening to come and join and learn a bit more about Travefy and our itinerary management and client communication tools for wonderful travel agents and advisors like yourself. Before I dive into the actual demo itself, I thought I'd pass it off to the amazing Tisha.
Thank you, David, and thank you for being here, taking time out of your schedule as well. I'm so honored to have him here tonight. When I went to the International Travel Agent Forum down in Cancun in Mexico, he actually did a marketing training, and I was just like, what is Travefy? What is Travefy? Because I could not say it for like 3 days. They had to help me. But I was amazed and blown away with the simplicity of this program and how it will turn all of the agents who take part of this from being just the simple home base to now becoming a professional travel professional with these great itineraries. I immediately started playing with it during one of our breaks and had a whole table that I was already showing how to use it. And David, I kept running up to his booth because I kept having questions that they were asking me. I was so impressed.
It was
But I
awesome.
wanted to go ahead and share this with as many other agents within my organization and elsewhere, because I think this is something that a lot of people have been asking for, a way not only to send amazing itineraries, amazing quotes, but to put something in people's hands as they're traveling. And now you can even communicate with them. So I just definitely wanted to go ahead and share this information. And now, because of everybody that has decided to show up, I'm even going to put a code in the chat, because if I type it out, if I say it out, you're not going to get it, but I'm going to put it in the chat. And it's also going to be in the Facebook event page that will give you a discount for signing up and using this platform. Now, the amazing part of it is you get 10 full days to try this program out, 10 days to see how this can work, use it with your guests, or even use it for your own trips that might be coming up. So make sure you check the chat or go back to the Facebook event page for that code. David?
Yeah, no, that is a really wonderful, and I appreciate the introduction. And yeah, everyone, please take advantage. We're excited and thrilled to share this discount. And please know also, just to add on that, and I'll cover this again later when I go through the webinar and training, that not only do we provide a free trial, but our team is also always here to help you. So as you go through that process, if you need a personal demo, training session, or to use our on-demand chat, feel free to leverage that, and our team is here to assist. But with that, I am super excited to dive in and share a bit more about Travefy. I know you can all see my screen right now. So from a 30,000 foot standpoint, we are Travefy, and we provide itinerary management and client communication tools that help advisors like you save time and impress clients. More specifically, we help you build beautiful itineraries or quotes all in your brand that you can share with clients in a variety of ways, including a web responsive page, via mobile app that will sync for offline access so your clients can take it on the go, or via PDF for those clients that like that paper look, touch, and feel. A little bit more on Travefy. We are a technology company whose mission is to power the success of travel professionals like you. Our tools currently power several thousand travel organizations that range from independent travel advisors to some of the largest travel management companies, tour operators, consortia, and others in the space. And we were thrilled last year to be named Entrepreneur of the Year by ASTA, the American Society of Travel Advisors. So with that, I thought I'd jump into the demo itself. What I'd like to do first is show you a bit of that output. What does the itinerary look like in all of these distinct ways, so you can get a real sense of what it is you're building towards. And then from there, I'm going to jump into the builder itself and show you how you can easily build these great itineraries. So with that, I'm going to dive in right now and show you those three ways in which you can share an itinerary. The first, as I said, is as a web responsive page that, again, is all in your brand. So you can see this. These web itineraries, it all has your brand and branding information. Depending on what you've added to an itinerary, it will have your great cover photo, trip name, description, dates. If you've added pricing, it'll be there, as well as all that wonderful information you might have added to an itinerary. Couple things of note on the web version. Number one, if you look here on the left-hand side, your clients can actually click on individual days or sections and jump around. So it's very interactive that way, almost like a mobile app. For things that you've added to an itinerary, if you've added a point of interest or a place, your client can click on that for more information, mapping, descriptions. They can click on photos on events to scroll through and have an immersive experience. In fact, if you've even added a voucher of some kind, let's say to that they needed to go do something, they could click on that and actually access that file itself. So really, really neat stuff there. The last thing of note with that web version, as discussed, is it's completely responsive. So as you can see, as I'm shrinking my screen, it's sized to work on any phone, tablet, or computer device. The second way in which you can share that itinerary with your clients is via mobile app. Now, one thing of note regarding the mobile app and Travefy in general is we work very hard to make sure that we are accentuating and highlighting your brand and not the Travefy brand. In fact, we hope your clients never know who or what a Travefy is. So something as simple as when you share an itinerary with your client via the mobile app, you're not sharing them or having them download the Travefy app. They're actually downloading the generically named or unbranded Trip Plans app that then opens up with your name, face, and logo. So here's an example of the mobile app when your client accesses it. It has all of your branding and high-level trip information. They can click on individual days to access anything you may have added, such as points of interest with maps, descriptions, and more. Again, they can scroll through photos, etc. And two other fun things of note when it comes to the mobile app. Number one, there is an integrated chat. It is optional that you can turn on or off at any point, allowing you to communicate and chat with your clients and provide that great level of service that we know you already do. And the second thing is important to note that when your clients access an itinerary via the mobile app, it will actually sync for offline access. So if they're in a place without any Wi-Fi or data or whatever it might be, they're still going to be able to access all of their trip plans, even things down to a file that you may have appended because maybe they need that voucher to get on the zip line in Costa Rica. We think this is not only a helpful feature, but frankly, a safety feature. And now the last way in which you can share an itinerary with your clients is via PDF. Lots of options when you render that PDF, but generally speaking, it prints with a beautiful cover page that has all of your branding information and high-level trip information. Great summary level information on that itinerary, and then all of that rich information on everything you've added for each day. So this is what the output of an itinerary looks like, but let's now get to the fun part and actually dive into a Travefy account and see how you can build. So we just logged into my Travefy account, and so this is the screen you would see when you log in. Couple things of note. Number one, where do you manage your branding assets? If you hover over your name and click on your profile, that's where you can add in all of that great information like your email, logo, photo, etc. All of that stuff that appears on an itinerary. One other thing of note is if you do operate under multiple brands or different types of things, you can actually have multiple profiles, which is something we can turn on for you, allowing you to operate under your logo on this itinerary and this other brand on a different one, etc. So when you first log into your Travefy account, excuse me, you're dropped here on your trips list, which has all the currently active trips you're working on. A few things of note, you can organize these all the ways you would expect: search, sort by trip name, date, activity, filter by what's upcoming or in the past. You can even have these custom statuses. Think of them like folders to help you be organized. No right way to do that, but we typically see advisors use it the way I have it organized here as almost your workflow. What are some templated trips? What are quotes? What are things like that? And so that's just a quick thing I want to note. That's a really cool time-saving feature of Travefy, which is you can actually build a template itinerary and copy it at any point as a starting point for future trips. So let's say you're a Rome expert and you're constantly sending clients to Rome. Invest in a killer Rome itinerary once and use that as a starting point for future clients. One other time-saving thing I want to show you before we jump into a trip itself is your personal library. Now, within Travefy, we already have millions of integrated points of interest Think restaurants, museums, accommodations, all of this with photos, ratings, descriptions, and more, even full city guides. But we nonetheless know that there are very often things that you might add to an itinerary consistently that we would have no way of having. As an example, that might be something as simple as your cancellation policy in terms of service. Or maybe it's an off the beaten path tailor in Chiang Mai that only you know about. Well, that's no problem. You can build those events, photos, points of interest within your library and then drag and drop and use it over and over again. We even have these great organizational tools with these labels to help you quickly find and access anything. But enough of this overview stuff. Let's actually dive in right now and work on a trip. Now, if you want to start with a blank trip, you can, of course, click the Create New Trip button. But we're going to go into this New York City template to see what a half lived-in trip looks like and go from there. And again, excuse me, I apologize, I'm getting sick. Okay, so we just logged into this New York City template trip that I have. Now, there's no right or wrong way to get started building a trip, but things that advisors will typically do up front is number one, you might want to set that cover photo to be a photo that's evocative of the trip that you're building for your client. Now, you can add photos in a number of ways, and this user experience or UI design is the same anywhere there are photos. You can, of course, upload or copy and paste your own photos, even pull photos from a website. But the most used way we see people do this is by leveraging our database of royalty-free images, where you can search for a photo. So I'm just going to do the Empire State Building and pull from our database. So I'm just going to randomly select that picture because that's a pretty picture. Second things that advisors will typically do is if you click on your trip name or settings up here, does the same thing. You can get to your trip level controls. So this is where we can name our trip. So we're just going to call this Fun Evening Demo. You can set a trip date. If you don't set a trip date, it'll just say day 1, day 2, day 3, which is great for that ideation or quoting phase. You can also set optional things like overview pricing or a description, as well as here are some of those deeper trip level controls, which we can get into at a later point, but did you want to turn on and off the messaging app, your time format, etc. Okay, so now gets the fun part. Now, as you hear me say all along, there's no right or wrong way to use Travefy, but we typically see two phases in which an advisor will leverage the platform. Phase one is help me consolidate all of my disparate bookings into one place. Help me get that flight, that hotel, that DMC provided thing, that cruise, etc., beautifully into one place. And then phase two, help me augment this with recommendations and city guides to really help me shine and leverage that expertise, which is so much of the reason why we all go to travel advisors. So let's take a step back into that first part, which is one of the great ways that Travefy helps you save time, is helping you get all of your disparate bookings onto the platform in one space. And we realize that there's no cookie cutter way in which advisors work, so we give you a wide variety of ways to do this. Number one, which is outside of our specific platform, is we integrate with a large number of CRMs and third-party systems that you may already use. Things like Vacation CRM, client-based Windows and Online, Tour Writer and Tour Plan, where you can auto-create itineraries by pushing over res cards or reservations in your CRM, and it will automatically add it to your itinerary. The second way, when you're in platform, if you want to add something to your itinerary, is simply click on this Add New Event button, and you'll see a wide variety of categories. Now, all of these categories actually give you multiple methods to add things. So we're going to do 2 or 3 examples together. So first, let's say I wanted to add a specific client flight here. Now, outside of course, manually typing something in, but why would we want to do that? The value of Travefy is quick automation. You could simply forward in a booking confirmation that you might have from over 1,500 distinct suppliers, forward in that Delta or United or whatever it might be confirmation to your trip-specific email address. Our system will automatically read that and add all that information to your itinerary. We'll even pair it with airport information and set the flight for auto updates. So we'll give you things like gate information and delays as they become available. You can also paste output from the GDS, which will parse and add, or you could simply just look up a flight name and number. And as you can see, we cover all airlines. So I'm, as an example, just going to put in this random Delta flight, so I don't think it's going to be a New York flight. Yep, we've got a Fort Lauderdale, Atlanta flight. And I've now added this to the itinerary. As you can see, it paired it with the airport with some helpful airport information. And it set it for auto update. So it's going to add the gate when it becomes available. It'll let me know of delays, cancellations, changes. Similarly, and I'm just going to go to another day. In other categories, for lodging, you could, of course, forward in a booking confirmation, or you could look up a very specific hotel across the globe that you were adding. So I'm just going to do one of my favorites in Europe. And it already knows what I'm looking for because I've added it before, the Grand Hotel Tremezzo in Lake Como. Again, adds all of these places with rich information, descriptions, maps, photos, more, etc. In even deeper categories, so let's just go to a new day again. We're making a little bit of a nonsensical trip, but that's okay. For instance, if you have a client cruise, if you look up the specific cruise ship name and date, we'll add all of the information about that cruise and build out your itinerary with the ports of call and pieces there. Similarly, we can do that with land tour providers, where you can look up that specific, as an example. If you were booking or booked specifically your client this Abercrombie and Kent signature Kenya tour, get the itinerary. We'll show you everything there, and it'll automatically add all of that information. Now, obviously, it depends on the supplier who we integrate with the depth and level of information, but lots of great stuff there. Now I want to show you a really cool thing, which is one of our newer features, which is beyond all of those quick add inventory features, GDS parsing, etc., is we've recently added this booking import, where we now integrate directly with a large number of providers that's ever growing, where you can authenticate your account with them and directly import any bookings you've made with them. I want to show you an example, and I'm also going to take this time to showcase to you how robust our FAQs are. We invest very heavily that you can easily find FAQs on questions you may have, and they all have images, GIFs, videos, etc. to help you. So I'm going to do the example of short trips, which is which a lot of agents add, to show you how you could import directly your booking using this method. So here's a GIF example. You go to add new event, as we said, click on the booking import method, choose the provider. We have lots of different providers: Classic, GoGo, Short Trips, Qantas, Travel2. Authenticate your account and whatever the booking number is you're trying to import. What those two pieces of information are may vary depending on the provider. It'll find your very specific booking. As you see here, it's Ryan's group, and it added all that information to your itinerary. So really wow stuff how quickly it can do that. So, okay, let's imagine we did all this and we've now built up our itinerary and added in all those bookings that we had for our clients. Now comes phase two. Now comes what I think is the fun part, which is adding all of your expertise and advice there. So I just created a new day, and let's get back in a New York state of mind. And I'm going to show you literally the most manual thing you can do on Travefy and how awesome and easy it is. So I'm going to go to add new event, and let's choose an activity. And I'm going to call this dinner and walking tour. And again, all of these are optional fields, but you have an optional notes field with full markup, bullets, highlights, links, etc. And I'm just going to write come ready. I'm going to spell it right. Come ready for fun, and B, and I'm going to put in bold, hungry. Optional fields, again, that you could add is you could set a start time, a duration, if there's pricing associated. If you're on a group trip, we've got some great deeper functionality where you can tag individuals so they all have their own unique itineraries. On any event, you can add up to 5 large photos. Again, same user experience where you could pull your own, pull from a website, or use our repository of royalty-free images. I'm just going to randomly do Central Park, just stick with this New York theme, and pick a couple pretty photos. Ooh, a dog. Great, I've added those. And now here below is really where you can start accessing our repository of millions of points of interest. Now, as I noted, if you have a document like a voucher, you can always attach that here. And you can search our database of millions of points of interest. So sticking with New York, let's look up one of New York's most famous steakhouses, because maybe that's where you're going to recommend your client goes to Peter Luger. And it's that easy to build up this beautiful event there. Couple things I want to note. Number one, great, we added Peter Luger Steakhouse. When we add a point of interest, it'll add with lots of
Yeah,
information, photo, contact information, map, reviews, description, and more. Now, you might look at that and say, awesome. This is really great and super duper helpful, and is exactly what I need. You may also look at this and go, you know what? While this is really a helpful starting point, I don't like that photo, and I actually have my own photo that I took when I was there and visiting. I don't really want reviews on there, and I want to amend the description so I can tell them you have to get the XYZ and this appetizer because I really want to help them thing. That is no problem. We are data agnostic, and this is just here to help you. So if you can, on any point of interest you add, you can click that pencil icon and edit and make it your own. And I'll tell you one better. Let's say you spend some time and you add your own photo onto Peter Luger and your own description, and you go, great, but I don't want it to just be on this particular itinerary because I add Peter Luger all the time. I recommend it to all of my clients when they go to New York. No problem. Click the Save to Library button, and now you've saved it to your library, and you can use it over and over again. Now, speaking of library, which we talked about, which again is a place that you can save unique content that you use over and over again that wouldn't be in our database, I want to show you how cool and easy it is to access things. So right here on my right is where my library is. Now, I had in my library completely made up things. And one thing I want to do note is that a lot of advisors literally have hundreds of things in their library because they use this for all of their unique things. So those labels can really help you find stuff and stay organized. So I'm going to use the labels I have to quickly look up these made up tours that I've put in New York. So I'm going to look up tours, and I'm going to look up New York City. And here's this Best of Little Italy tour that is something I just made up. And look at how easy it was that I just dragged and dropped and added it to this event. You can even save full events in your library. So here's a walking tour of the High Line that I just dragged over and dropped there. And let's say I now want to personalize it for this tour. So I'm going to click on the pencil icon, and maybe I just want to write here, Frank, don't miss the XYZ, whatever that is. And I'm going to highlight it in red so Frank doesn't miss it. That easy to adapt. Now, the last thing I want to show you are the city guides. So we have full city guides and destination content for you that can help you also just really easily put a lot of information at your client's fingertips at any point. So I'm just going to go to this generic trip information document section. We're going to go to city guides, and let's look up somewhere fun. Let's get out of New York and let's look up Rome. Now, you could literally grab an entire city guide and just drag it. Let's say your client's going to one city and say, here's all the information about it for you to have at your fingertips. Or you could curate this specifically for your client because maybe they're going on a multi-city tour of Europe. So maybe the day that they're in Rome, I want to grab and I'm going to curate the overview of the city. And I just dragged and I added that, a nice overview, some nice photos. And maybe I want to grab, 2 or 3 top places that I want to recommend to them. Maybe the Borghese Gallery, which is great, the Trevi Fountain, and the Colosseum. And now I've added all of those recommended places with some great photos and descriptions. You can also grab other sections that may make sense to you. So maybe you want to share this essential information section with your client, which makes a lot of sense, and it tells them all important information like, what electric adapter do I need when I'm in this country? You can even grab individualized sections. So let's say this client is the type of client who wants to just sit in a cafe with an espresso and read a good book. Maybe you want to grab the top recommended cafes for them and drop it there, and it'll add that with all great photos and descriptions. And again, you can even curate it further if you say, you know what, this list is great, but my client's never going to be in this section of town, so I'm going to remove those too, etc. So the other thing of note is we've got this great content and city guides there at your fingertips. But all right, we built this great itinerary, and we're ready to share it with our clients, which is very exciting. Now to do so, one thing of note is at any point, if you want to preview it in that view that your clients will have, you can of course just click the preview button right here, and there you go, you can see it. But all right, we're ready to send this to our clients, so I am just going to click this Send to Others button. Now it's going to give me a couple options. Of course, I can choose the ways in which I want my client to access it. We're going to let this client access it via mobile, web, PDF, give them all the options. Now, if all I want to do is just get a link to the web version, which I'm going to show, that gives them access to all the ways. So again, here's the web version, and they could click to get the PDF or app, and I want to send it myself. I want to send them my own email. I want to put it on social media. I want to text it to them. That's no problem. Just click that copy link button. Alternatively, if you want to send them an email that our system actually sends, but it comes from your name, face, and logo, just click the send email button. You can add in your client's information, even put in a custom message, and voila, it sends it to them and gives them access to all those distinct ways that they can access the itinerary. So that is the 30,000 foot on Travefy. A lot more power packed in there. As we said, there's lots of great chat and communication tools within here, lots of great other ways that you can integrate content. But I did want to leave at the back end some more time for any questions you all might have. And so given that there's 90 of us on the line, probably the best way to do so is maybe if folks can put questions in the chat, and I will look at them and start reading them out.
Yes, David, while you've been talking, there has been a slew of different questions, comments, game changer that has been coming through the chat. And I've been trying to answer the ones that I know for sure I knew the answers. But some of the questions that are definitely coming up is, can you expound more on how to make an itinerary a quote to send to a client who has not yet made a decision, or if they want to promote a specific itinerary to say that their social media or their CRM?
Yeah, absolutely. Great question. And that's the beauty of the flexibility and the versatility of the Travefy platform is no matter what way you position it, you're using the same builder. So I'm going to take that in 3 parts. Part 1, which is, hey, if I wanted this to actually be a full quote for my client, such that they are actually seeing pricing and understanding, you can do that on anything here. So number 1, you can do pricing either at a macro or high level. So if I'm going back to my trip settings, you can add top-down pricing on any itinerary. Either say, hey, this is a trip that is a $2,500 per person trip, and or you could do a total, this is a $10,000 total trip. So as an example, you could share this itinerary with your client, and this lets them know this is what a $2,500 per person trip looks like. You can also do that pricing at a micro level where any event that you add, you can actually put pricing on it. So this flight, for instance, you could note is a $342.34 flight. You could do that for hotel, for any type of category. So again, you can have that pricing layered throughout on individual items if that's the way you communicate with your clients, or top down, which says, hey, this is what a $5,000 trip looks like. To your second thing in terms of what if I want this to be more about them making choices, we've seen people structure that in a couple different ways. One where they'll make different events for different options. Now remember, this type of full thing is an event. Or where people will put multiple places, this is what a place is, on one thing. So to give you an example, for multiple places, might say this is your hotel reservation, and might note here that, choose one, and then here's some bullets of descriptions between the two. And I add place 1, which is that Hilton, Midtown, and then maybe I'm going to add, the Grand Hyatt, another hotel. Obviously, I want to do New York. Keep it consistent, etc. The other way in which this works that we've also seen people do, and I'm going to pull up an actual full example, is that full event way. So we've got great samples on our homepage. So here's an example where people do where if you look down, in this trip to Punta Cana, here's option 1 is this hotel. Here's the price, photos, some descriptions. Here's option 2, Dreams in Palm Beach. Option 3, Secrets Royal Beach. So your clients see all that, and then when you communicate and they say, actually, I want option 1, what you do is you just delete out the events and say, imagine this was option 1 and option 2. Oh, they don't want option 2, so I'm just going to delete the whole thing and make option 1 the choice. Now to the third question, which was, how do we use this to promote on social media? We see lots of people do that. Well, they'll build a trip that's just a sample trip. So it's not really this flight or this thing, but it'll just be, they'll grab components on, put a fun hotel, talk about excursions and things. So they'll build out trips that aren't really for a client, but help them showcase this is the type of trip you have when you work with me. I am a Caribbean expert, so I'm going to show you what a 3-day Puerto Rico trip looks like, because this is how you can learn, etc. I hope that answers the question. What else do we have?
Our next question that we have on here is concerning the suppliers, because you spoke about how you have some of the suppliers integrated into the system, and some of the agents wanted to know what suppliers do you have? Like we work with FunJet, Southwest, American, Travel Impressions, and various cruise lines.
Yeah, I mean, and so of the things you've named, almost all of those. And so again, when you think about the different ways in which we can work with suppliers, most suppliers are covered in one of those. So that first way, again, is that email parsing method where you can forward in booking confirmations of any kind to your trip specific email address. We support over 1,500 distinct suppliers via that method. So when you talk about the 80-20 of things, we really have broad coverage there. Similarly, when you're talking about our quick ad, you'd mentioned cruise, we really have the broad coverage there, as well as tour providers. The booking import method is our newer method that we're constantly adding more. And so that is the more growth engine right now, but our coverage is broad. And the other thing I will say, which also goes the other way, is we are a company that is committed to constant improvement. So you may use the platform and find that there is a supplier that we don't touch. Please tell us, please introduce us to your BDM. We are always adding new things, always excited by that, and we're always working to improve the platform to make your life, frankly, our life better.
Awesome. That is great. The next question that I have is something that everybody probably wants to know, but they want to know exactly how much does it cost to have this amazing program?
Yeah. Well, our pricing is fully public. We are big believers in transparency. And so our pricing, obviously, on top of that, you get the great discount with the coupon code. So this is outside of the coupon code. We have 2 packages with Travefy. The way we charge is it's a subscription service, so it means it's an ongoing fee, and we charge per agent builder, basically whose person who logs in, whose name, face, and logo appears on each itinerary. Now, all of those packages come with unlimited itineraries, literally build a million, and unlimited clients that you can share them with and work with. Now, we have 2 packages. Our lighter weight starter package, which is the equivalent of $13 per month if you pay for it annually, or $16 per month if you pay for it month to month. And our plus plan, which is the equivalent of $31 per month if you pay for it annually, or $39 if you pay for it month to month. Now, our plus plan is our package that has everything. So everything you just saw, that's our top package. Our starter package is our lighter weight package that we frankly cut out some of our cost centers to provide a lower cost option to certain agents and advisors. So there are a lot of differences in those packages, which you can of course find by clicking on the comparison. But at a 30,000 foot, the biggest differences are: number one, the starter package doesn't have the mobile app. It's the web and PDF only of the itinerary. And 2, it doesn't have some of that premium content like the city guides.
Okay, that is awesome information. Now, I know there's one question that somebody asked. I'm actually going to answer this because I figured it out myself. The question was basically about adding additional forms such as our credit card authorization forms and things of that nature. And if I remember correctly, there is an option under trip information and documents where you can upload documents that are part of the itinerary, that you can send the itinerary and additional documents to your clients as well, such as our credit card authorization forms. Am I correct?
Yep. And so I don't actually have a file right here, but yep, credit card authorization form. You could create, please take this form and fax to me at XYZ, upload the file, and I'll give you one better. So let's say there would be a file on their thing. Let's say that you do this on every single itinerary. Save this to your library. Forms. And now every time you build an itinerary and you want to find things, go to your library, quickly look up forms, Oop, I've got to X out of those other two. And grab your form and drag it over. That easy.
Yes, that was an amazing tool that I found. Now, another question that I received here is that we have some people who have jumped the gun and had purchased, and they're on their 10-day trial. They wanted to know if they could apply the discount code still to their account while they're in trial mode.
Yeah, as long as you're in trial mode, when you put in your discount code is actually when you go to put in your credit card. So, yep. As long as you haven't uh, converted, paid, whatever the right phrase is, you can still put in the code.
Awesome. Again, the code is located back on the Facebook event page. It is also in the chat. I know many of you have said that this has just basically have blown your mind. It's just so much to see and to gather. It has been recorded, and once I receive the recording, I will upload it to my YouTube account, so you will have access to it at any time, at anywhere. Now, I want to definitely make sure that if there's any more questions, to please go ahead and jot the questions down. I know I have sent this out to people, and I'm currently using this for my group specifically more because it allows everybody to see what is going on, and because we can assign certain people to only see their flights, it makes everything look great. And they love the chat feature on the side as well, so they can talk to everybody. Well,
I'm seeing some of the comments come through. Thank you everyone for your kind words. Means a lot. You know, really appreciate that, and the team will really appreciate that as well.
Yes, this is definitely something that when I first actually saw it and I understood what it was, I knew this would change a lot of people's businesses because a lot of people were doing Word documents or trying to type up everything and wanted to get away from having to actually send the document straight from the supplier. They wanted something that was branded for themselves. Now, speaking of the branding, can you quickly touch on the power-ups?
Yeah, absolutely. And thank you for that great question. So outside of our general Travefy itinerary builder, we do offer power-ups, which are simple add-ons that you can put to really help you grow and expand your marketing capabilities with Travefy. So what these add-ons or power-ups are is we have three distinct ones. The first is embeddable itineraries. And so this actually builds a lot on the question that you all were asking around how can I use some of these itineraries to showcase all of my great expertise, get people excited on that 3-day Puerto Rico trip like we were talking about. Well, in addition to that, you can, of course, with a subscription, build an itinerary and put that link on social media or thing. You can actually get very specific, easy to use code that you can drop a snippet on any web page and it'll resize and work with to actually allow you to put an itinerary on a web page. The second power up we offer is domain masking. So as we said at Travefy, we work super hard to make sure that we're always putting your brand first. PDF, 100% your brand. You can't even find the word Travefy on there. Mobile app, as we said, it's not the Travefy app. It's the generically named Trip Plans app that then opens up with your name, face, and logo. The only place that there is Travefy, and you can, on your web itineraries, again, visually, it's all in your brand, but it is on the Travefy URL just because you're literally on the Travefy website. Now, we offer a power-up that allows you to domain mask, which means literally it's as opposed to being at travefy.com, this would be under your domain. So think of it as trips.yourdomain.com. So you can actually mask the output of the itineraries to really have greater branding control for your clients. And the last thing that we do is we offer these great marketing profiles, which you can think of like digital business cards. We can go back and I can show you mine as an example, which is just a helpful way to help you acquire leads. Oops, sorry, lots of things going on. Here's my marketing profile. You can see the great builder for building it up. And here's an example of my simple marketing profile, which is a great place that I can send people to learn about me, contact me, as well as see some of my featured trips, again, from a marketing standpoint. So those are what the power-ups are. All of the power-ups are $9 per month, or if you pay for them annually, they're $7 per month.
Now to see if we have any more questions coming through. So far, everybody is pleased with what they're seeing. They're very, very excited. And they definitely can see how this platform can definitely take their business to the next level. I know I have thoroughly enjoyed it, and I actually just used it today to put together a charisma honeymoon. And not only was I able to put in, the flights and the hotels that everybody would expect to see, but I was actually able to put in pictures of their honeymoon beachfront suite so she could actually see where she's going to be, as well as instructions for her Club Mobe and so much more. And I've even used this for anybody that uses any kind of CRM system such as Client Ease or Travel Joy. I was even able to link in a client profile form. So for those people who are promoting, using this tool to promote this on, say, their website, social media, you can actually create a link. So if people say, yes, they're interested in this, they can use the link to fill out the form, and you can actually start the process to book them.
Awesome. Yeah, and I think that speaks to a lot. Just the last point is, the versatility, as I'd mentioned, of the platform is, we think of ourselves as exactly that, a platform where we work nicely with other systems and really can help be that embedded integral part of your workflow and talking to all those other great systems you use.
Yes, I'm not seeing any more questions, so I don't want to hold you up, and I don't want to hold anybody else up on this cold Wednesday. It's very cold where I am and I'm the Maryland area, but I definitely thank you for taking this time. I know this was some time planning, and hopefully people will begin to use this platform, share this platform, and be with you as this platform grows, because everybody, this platform has grown since I first started using it in October, especially with their expansion on the groups part.
Well, thank you so much for those kind words, and thank you so much, everyone, for again taking that time out of your busy day, letting us share a bit more about Travefy with you. Please don't be a stranger. If you have any questions, you can always reach out to myself or the Travefy team. My email is david@travefy.com. Pretty straightforward and simple. You can always ask me with questions, and we are always here to help. So thank you again for everything, and we'll be in touch. Thanks again.
Thank you. Good night, everybody.